I'm going to teach you one of the most important brand concepts that you will ever learn. And I'm going to do it using a scene from The Devil Wears Prada. No marketing background needed, no business experience required. Just pay attention and follow me here so that you know exactly what's happening in the scene. So in this scene, a character thinks that she made a random choice, okay? But she didn't. That misunderstanding is the exact reason most people don't know what to post. So I'm gonna play it from right here, just to give you some context.
It's a tough call. They're so different.
Something funny?
No, nothing's, it's just that both those belts look exactly the same to me. I'm still learning about this stuff and,
This stuff? Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you.
All right, so what just happened right there? Okay, I'm gonna break this down. She thinks her choice is personal, independent, and random. But Miranda, right, is about to explain that it's not. And this is the first brand lesson. In plain English, most people think their content choices are independent. They're not. You didn't wake up and randomly think, oh, I'll post this. You were influenced by what worked for someone else, what the algorithm rewarded last week. That's called being downstream. So I'm gonna play this next piece.
You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue. It's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars.
Here's the key idea. Someone upstream made a decision years ago and everyone else is just reacting to it. So for some context, when you don't know what to post, it's because you're reacting instead of deciding. You're choosing formats instead of direction, trends instead of principles, tactics instead of positioning. That's why your content feels scattered.
Countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
So this is the moment that most people miss. She's not talking about fashion. She's talking about a system of decision making. And this is where branding comes in. So I want to teach you guys about the brand spine, okay? If you want content to feel obvious instead of exhausting, you need a brand spine. Not a niche, not a logo, not a vibe, a spine. And there's 4 parts to this spine. The first part is who you serve. You don't serve everyone. You have to pick a primary person. For me, it's business owners and serious creators. For you, it might be real estate agents, coaches, local business owners, freelancers, everyday blue-collar worker. If you can't describe them in one sentence, your content will forever stay vague. The second piece of the spine is what you help them do. People don't wake up wanting content. They want outcomes. Confidence, trust, demand, clarity. When you know the outcome, content writes itself. The third piece of the spine is what you stand against. This is the part that most people skip. So ask yourself, what do you disagree with in your industry? For me, it's typically trends over truth, random posting, generic AI outputs. For you, it might be, price wars. It could be a cold outreach. It can be fake urgency. This creates contrast, and contrast creates memory. Now, disclaimer, I have fallen victim to, giving clients what they want, even though they don't know any better, because sometimes with certain clients, you kind of have to let them trip over themselves and show them that what they thought would work isn't working or isn't going to work, and then kind of guide them back into what branding and brand development actually looks like. And the last part of the spine is your proof and point of view. Don't take this as bragging. This is context. Why should someone listen to you? For me, it's years of building different brands, monetizing YouTube channels, and working on campaigns across different industries, from the higher ups of your high fashion brands to local businesses. But for you, it might be years in your field. It can be clients that you've helped. It can be mistakes that you've lived through. Proof makes the spine believable. So let's reel it back into what we just watched with this scene, right? Miranda isn't powerful because she's loud or because she's not loud and her tone is very aggressive or stern. She's powerful because she decides upstream. That's what a brand spine does. It moves you from reacting to leading. So I hope that breakdown helped. And if this helped you understand why content feels hard, start with one thing today. Write your brand spine. Who you serve, what outcome you help create, what you stand against, and why you're qualified to say it. Now, if you want a structured way to do that, I break down step by step inside of my system, but either way, stop guessing. So like and subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this, and comment, the next show or movie that you want me to kind of dissect and help you guys learn a little bit more about branding, sales, marketing, and positioning.